My book, Happy Campers, 9 Summer Camp Secrets for Raising Kids Who Become Thriving Adults, is not just the story of my own camp, but is the story of many camps all over the world who are promoting the social and emotional growth of kids through intentional strategies. This bonus episode is a recording of one of my Happy Campers interviews with a camp director from one of the day and resident camps who were in my series that was originally aired on Facebook Live and is also available in video form on my website at sunshine-parenting.com. Enjoy this conversation with a camp director who runs an amazing program. Welcome to this Happy Campers Camp interview. Today, I am thrilled to be with my longtime friend, Sarah Horner-Fish from Tom Sawyer Camps. Tom Sawyer Camps is an amazing day camp in Pasadena, California. Or is it Altadena?
Our office is Altadena, our camp is Pasadena, but they're right next to each other.
Okay, well, I jumped ahead there. Anyway, if you've been watching this series has a couple different purposes. One is to introduce you to some phenomenal accredited camp programs all across the United States. And I've been talking to both day camps and resident camps, and specifically talking about the way these camps intentionally help kids grow really important social and emotional skills and character traits. And so it's been so much fun chatting with these different camp directors. So whether this is your first interview that you've watched or you've been watching all of them, welcome back or welcome. And I would like to start, first of all, I want you to know all about Sarah. So Sarah, why don't you just tell a little bit about your background, your interests, and how you ended up at Tom Sawyer Camps?
Sure. So I now think I have been at camp 46 summers. I started as a little camper. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old when I started attending camp. And my parents were looking for a fun activity for my brother and my sister and myself to do. And they loved camp. We loved camp. We loved going to Tom Sawyer Camps, and I'll get more into details about what we do. So, of course, I started as a camper. I moved up in the ranks. I was a junior counselor. I was a senior counselor. I was a program director. I was director, and now I'm executive director. And there's so many things about myself that I connect with camp. First off, being outside in nature all summer long, it's a wonderful way to be healthy and feel good and be active. And then, of course, most importantly, the impact we have on children who attend camp, as well as our staff who grow up working at camp. It's a wonderful combo for both campers and staff.
So Sarah, just remind me, because I can't remember back exactly. Did you do any other jobs? Like, where did you go to school? Like, what's your education and that kind of thing? And then what other jobs did you ever have besides camp?
Yes, I have had other jobs. In fact, after graduating from UC San Diego, which is in La Jolla, with a degree in communications and music and psychology, I worked at a shelter for runaway teens in Los Angeles. I knew I wanted to work with kids or young adults, and it was a wonderful opportunity at a short-term shelter where girls came in for 30 days. Our goal was to reunify them with their families, number one goal. And if that didn't work, we transitioned them into some type of a longer-term housing or program. It was a wonderful job. In the early 80s, gangs were becoming an opportunity for young women to get involved with. So a lot of our girls were just starting to explore that as a community. Of course, we tried to get them out of gangs. And then after that job, I actually worked and traveled 3 years with an international performing group called Up With People. So I had the opportunity of traveling around the world for 3 years, staying in host families, doing community service, and then performing a 2-hour musical show every city that we went to.
Oh, that is so fabulous. What now, did you sing or play an instrument?
Everyone in the show sings and dances. I had some musical background, and but really they're looking for people who are going to be ambassadors for their countries. So it was 160 people from 25 different countries, people who will build bridges among different cultures and who were interested in that. And they Up With People strongly believes that everyone can be taught how to sing and dance. but you're really looking for people who are global ambassadors, who are who are interested in learning about different cultures, as well as doing community service.
That is so amazing. See, you're just another example of, I mean, every camp director that I've talked to on this series, when you delve back, you know, kind of before you started doing the camp thing, everyone has really interesting skills and outside kind of training and experience that you've brought to your role. And I'm so glad to know this about you. I've known you for all these years. And of course, I've just known you in the camp setting, but think about how both of those, how much you learned in both of those things that you use now in camp.
100%.
Yeah, that is amazing. It makes me want to look this up with people think I've heard of it, but I didn't know what they did. And how fun that must have been.
Aren't you
really?
in Modesto?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I will definitely check it out. I'm going to write a little note here because that is really, really cool that you did that. And what a great way to meet. And you are one of those people, you are a community builder, you know, at your camp, in the greater camp community. And how interesting that you had all that training of building community with people from different countries and backgrounds and everything. And how perfect, because you live in, you know, the Los Angeles area is a diverse community. So your camp also serves kids that, you know, are going to be meeting friends from different cultures and that kind of thing. That's so great. Yeah. Okay. So let's think. So that is really fun to know. Do you like to sing at camp still? Do you do a lot of 100%?
I sing all the time. And it's really cute when counselors talk about, I don't know how to sing. And I was like, it's a camp song. Just smile and cheer and yell and have fun. I mean, I think by doing that, every camper realizes I can sing too, because maybe sometimes a camper might be timid. I don't have a good voice. And I'm like, it's a camp song.
And actually, the way camp songs are that you're just all singing together so loudly. So you just, even if you're off key or whatever, it doesn't even matter. It's just fun either way. So, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to check on some of your favorite camp songs because it'd be fun to learn those from you. But let's move on because I want you to tell everybody about your amazing camp, Tom Sawyer Camp. So first start with where you are and a little bit about the history of Tom Sawyer Camps.
Sure. Our camp is located in a public park in the city of Pasadena. We're right on the border of La Cañada, Pasadena, Altadena. So most people know us because we are at the north end of the arroyo, and in the middle of the arroyo is the Rose Bowl. So whenever January 1st comes along and you watch the Rose Bowl game and they say, look at those beautiful San Gabriels in the background, we are at the foothills of the San Gabriels. Our other famous neighbor is JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So we like those two neighbors, the Rose Bowl and JPL. We were started in 1926. We actually were started in Laguna Beach, California. And after a series of incidences, we landed at our current location, which is Hahamungya Watershed Park, and that was in 1944. It was very unique in 1926 for a camp to start as a day camp. So it actually was a resident camp, but then transitioned to a day camp. World War II had a huge impact on the resident camp program. It was for all boys at the time. They weren't able to find staff because those young men were off in World War II. They couldn't get supplies. They couldn't get tires. They couldn't get food. And so the two brothers that started the camp decided, let's do a day camp, which was pretty revolutionary during that time. So in 1944, day camp at our current location.
I think one of the things that's important for parents to understand is the difference. And I had this conversation last week with another day camp director that your camp, it's interesting that your roots were kind of a residential camp that became a day camp or something like that. But you, these skills and the way you run Tom Sawyer Camps has a lot of similarities to sort of traditional residential camp programs. And it's one of the things that I think makes you unique amongst kind of programs that are available for kids just like during the day. And I think, and I often say this, but anyone can just say, they can just start something and call it a camp. You know, a lot of times, you know, whatever, there's an art school. Oh, we're going to have a
cooking program.
Yeah. And everyone, they call everything camps, but I just want to make sure that parents understand that there's a big difference between what you're doing and what some of these other people are doing. And that I think that's interesting that your background was that way.
Resident. Yeah.
Okay. So you moved. Okay. I have this, maybe I'm wrong, but I have this vague recollection that maybe the reason that your Tom Sawyer camps, was there a Becky Thatcher? Like, was it a girls and a boys program that now have been combined?
It started as a day camp with just boys.
Okay.
And the two brothers that started it, one of the brothers had a daughter and she was 6. Wendy, what were they going to do with Wendy in the summer? And she was a faster runner. She was a better horseback rider. And she sang the songs louder than anyone. And they said, oh, I think it's time to let girls into camp. And because of Wendy in the 1950s, Tom Sawyer Camps had Becky Thatcher Camp. And so we merged the two. In general, our umbrella name is Tom Sawyer Camps, but we have Toms and Beckys. Wendy and her siblings started having kids in the 1960s. So then we started our pre-camp program, which is an equivalent to like preschool. So they said, we have these little kids. What are we going to do? Well, let's start sending them to camp at 3, 4, and 5. In the 70s, our kids were growing up. And so we were losing them at 10, 11, and we decided to start our middle school program, which we call Outpost. And so that's kind of the revolutionary, the history of how our camps grew. We were really fortunate. We run a fabulous program, and in the 90s, we had too much of a demand and not enough space for kids. So we started another program, which we called Tom Sawyer Camps 2, TOO, as in also the same. And so that's also an elementary age program. All 4 of those programs are at the same site. And but it allowed us to have more kids experience camp. We hated turning away kids on waiting lists. And so we wanted to be able to expand so more kids could come.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more. So some people maybe don't know anything about, they've taken it from scratch. They don't know anything about Tom Sawyer Camps. Yeah. So what are the different ages you serve? So you have boys and girls, and talk through like, what are the names of you mentioned some things. So like the pre-camp, I don't know. So what are all the ages and the different names and the length of the session that your kids come to?
Great. So we have our pre-camp program, which is 3 to 5-year-olds. We have what we call our day camp program, which includes the Toms and the Beckys. And then we have our Outpost program, which is our middle school program. Those 3 camps run 9 weeks, and they're broken up into smaller sessions. So a 6-week session and a 3-week session. Kids can come Tuesday, Thursday, kids can come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or they can come all 5 days. So we might have a camper who comes 6 weeks, Tuesday, Thursday, or we might have a camper who comes 9 weeks, 5 days a week. Our TSC2 program, which I was telling you about, that was started in the 90s to help get more kids into camp, runs 8 weeks. And so it's a wonderful, really the differences are the session dates. So it's a 4-week session and a 4-week session. The day is a little shorter. And that way, parents who are putting in summer camp and figuring out vacations or figuring out other programs are able to pick a schedule that can work for them. So TSC2 is also elementary age. We really find a lot of kids, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old is really the largest part of our population of kids who attend camp.
Okay, that sounds so fun. And so let me ask you this. If a camper goes, so like the kids who are there 5 days a week, obviously they're with the same kind of group for those 5 days.
That's a great question.
There'll be the Tuesday, Thursday kids who are also there at the same time. So no kid's going to be like Tuesday and Friday, or they're going to be kind of with the same group-ish.
Right. So everyone is in the same group. So you might have, to keep it simple, we have a group of 13 kids, and you have your kids who come Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You have your kids who are Tuesday, Thursday, and then your kids who are 5 days a week. So out of those 13 kids, 6 of them could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 7 of them could be 5 days a week. And so you see there's just a little bit of difference in the groups. The counselors are the same. You're always in that same group. So you have this community. You have a group name. You have your own group fort. You have your special activities with your group. So if you're coming Tuesday, Thursday, you will still have the same kids those days you come.
Yeah, that's great. I know that I remember hearing about some random place. I mean, I think this is just sort of the trend because parents really like to pick and choose. We're kind of in the Starbucks era, like, you know, you want the latte, half calf, whatever. And so I know that a lot of programs that provide like summer daycare kind of things are completely like drop in, bring your kid whenever, you know, whatever days. And I'm sure that to parents that seems so appealing because wow, how convenient. But explain why for you that continuity and sort of having actual sessions and not just making sort of a drop in. Yeah. Why don't you explain why that's your philosophy?
Well, Audrey, you're absolutely right. The trend is parents want to pick the days. I, in fact, was talking to a mom the other week about, she went to a program where she did pick the days because she thought that was going to work for her schedule. And then as time went on, she realized her daughter wasn't making friends. She didn't know anyone. She would show up one day and there were all new kids. And really what we value at Tom Sawyer is that a camper is part of one group. They have the same counselors. They have the same activities together. So as a unit, they're building this community. They're going to horses together. They're swimming together. And so kids are really making friendships with those same campers throughout the summer in your group. It's really important to us. Now, like you said, there is a trend for parents, the Starbucks trend to pick and choose what days work for them. But I think when parents have experienced that and they look at excuse me, the quality of experience for their child, they realize having them consistent and in the same program with the same kids and same counselors really is so much more valuable for their kids' development.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I would think too, like just from the perspective of planning, like you want to know as a camp, your staff,
how many staff you need.
Right. Yeah. And how many kids are going to be doing different activities. Right. And it's like, to me, obviously there's some benefits of maybe a drop-in program for convenience, but I would guess that the program might suffer a bit if one day all of a sudden there's double the number of kids or something like that. And how that, anyway, so that I think it's important. I think a lot of times parents sending their kids to camp really don't understand that there are some really important differences between these different things. And so to really look at what that means for their child's experience, as opposed to maybe looking at what's
the most convenience for them.
Yeah. So much.
I mean, you said it perfectly, Audrey, too. Like if you're going to the horses and you have 13 kids and you go in there are 13 horses, but if you had a drop in and all of a sudden you have 28 kids with that group that's going to horses, their experience is shortened. And so, you have to, but when we go to horses, you get that horse for a full 50 minutes. It's your horse. You are riding. You are learning about horseback riding.
Yeah. And that actually brings up a good point. I think we don't need to talk about other camps anymore, but I mean, the fact that you have horseback riding is a perfect example of what really distinguishes you. I mean, that's a type of program that is very staff intensive, time intensive, a lot of planning involved, a lot of training of your staff. Why don't you just give kind of an overview of the different activities that you offer like that? Because again, I think that your lineup of activities is much more similar to most residential camps than most day camps. So why don't you share what all the great things you do at Tom Sawyer?
Sure. So each group has a schedule every day, and the counselors take their kids to their activities. So they might have horseback riding, they might have archery, they might have, they will have swimming. And then really, we also schedule in free time, a lot of free blocks. And so those free blocks can consist of secret fort building and going hiking and catching toads and playing in the mud. We really value free play, and we all know how important it is for kids to use imagination and creativity and to build a secret fort out of a tree and rocks and bushes. So it's a big part of our tradition that we have forts at camp. But back to our schedule. So when a group goes horseback riding, we have our staff that are there that are actually teaching horseback riding. So our group counselors still stay with the kids. So our wranglers are able to teach skills, and the group counselors who maybe know that Gretchen is a little scared to ride, can work with her with the wrangler because they've already built that rapport with the camper. So the group counselors are always with the kids. They don't just drop them off and say, okay, horse staff, pool staff, take care of the kids. So they're still engaged in helping and assisting and playing.
That should be really reassuring to parents too, because when you think about sending like your 3 or 4-year-old to camp, it seems so overwhelming. But when you know that there's this one person who's going to be with them, guiding them through all these different adventures, that can be really reassuring. And I think also another thing parents need to realize is that you staffing this way requires a lot more staff. When you have someone who goes with the group to the different activities, and then you have these experts or teachers when they get there, that is a lot more supervision for kids. And you're not asking your staff to serve in that dual role of just like having their 13 kids, 13 5-year-olds, and they're going to be doing everything with them. So they're there as the support. And I find that really an important aspect of camp, I think, is so that the kids know that they can have someone that they trust and know that they can talk to if they're scared or if they need any extra help. So that must be really reassuring. Okay. So you have kids. So how many kids, just out of curiosity, come when they're 3 years old?
Well, we have about 2 groups that are made up of 3-year-olds and 3.5-year-olds and 3-year-olds turning 4. And like you mentioned, so when that group, and with our younger preschool age kids, we have 12 campers with 3 counselors. When they go to the pool, there are 6 lifeguards. So we have 8 staff with 12 kids swimming at a time. And as parents should be concerned about their children getting in a pool without them, without their supervision, it's a wonderful ratio that kids are able to swim with a staff one-on-one. And we're able to teach lessons because of that ratio. But it's really great when they go to these activities and are able to participate because of those ratios.
Okay, so does the kid need to know how to swim before coming, or do you actually teach those kids to swim?
We teach kids how to swim. We have a really fun badge program where kids learn skills and earn badges, and they have cute names like the tadpole badge and the if it's a horse badge, the wrangler badge. And so kids, it's an incentive for them to learn skills, because oftentimes if a camper is a little afraid to do something, for a 3-year-old, or maybe even a 6-year-old, putting their head underwater and opening their eyes can be scary. And so earning this badge is a fun incentive program for them. I tell parents it's really the one time when peer pressure is positive. So I'm 3-year-old Gretchen and I'm scared to ride a horse, but I see my friend Bobby getting on a horse and I see him doing it, and I see the caring counselor right next to him, helping him take this risk, trying something that's scary. And it's like, oh, if Bobby can do that, I think I can do that. Yeah. It's a wonderful, when peer pressure is really positive.
Yeah. And I think with the parents not there, that's almost helpful because I feel like kids can get more of their inner courage brought up when they're just 100%. Around other kids and with their caring counselor and that same group. They try things that if they look back at their parent and see their parent looking nervous, that translates into oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or I'm too little. I think that's amazing. So kids can come. So basically, if parents send their kids to Tom Sawyer Camps, they don't have to sign up also for swimming lessons. Nope. During the summer, which obviously during the summer is a lot of the time usually where people try to get their kids swimming lessons. So how nice that that's part of your regular program. Right. I have a question. What about older kids who don't know how to swim? Do you ever get kids who are older and don't know how to swim yet? Absolutely. And prior to camp, we're really in good communications with parents, and we ask them to tell us anything we should know about their camper. We ask parents to tell us their camper's swim ability. We still test. We don't call it a test the first day of camp. Sometimes kids get little butterflies when they hear they're having a swim test. We have a pool party, and through games, we assess kids' swimming abilities. Amazing. But we have all ages. We had some 10-year-olds last summer who didn't know how to swim. And it's such a great opportunity to use other friends in the group to help teach those lessons. And,
We hear a lot about teasing and bullying, and it could be an opportunity where someone's teased because you're 10, you're a boy, you don't know how to swim, what's wrong with you? But instead, we really focus on how do we help Steve learn to swim? How do we, as a group, help him get some confidence and learn some skills? And kids step up to this opportunity. They love being the experts. They love teaching skills. Whether it's a game or archery, as the counselor, you're like, do I do the bow and arrow this way? And the kids are like, no, do it this way. Letting them be pros, letting them help teach to swim, of course, next to a swim counselor and the group counselor. But really such a wonderful learning experience for everyone and a growth experience.
Yeah, so you've started to touch on it, but I want to talk next about you're very intentional about the way you do things at Tom Sawyer Camps. Mm-hmm. There are things that you are really working on, the skills and the traits that you're working on growing in your campers. So why don't we talk about, you mentioned the free play, and I would love to just spend a little more time on that, just because as you mentioned, that's something that, 20 or 30 years ago, people just took for granted that kids just go out and play just with each other in the neighborhood or wherever. And that was really, we now know that is very valuable time where a lot of specific skills are being learned, interpersonal skills, a lot of things. So is that one of your kind of major focuses at Tom Sawyer Camps? Or what skills are you, when you train your staff and you're talking to them about what you want them to be focusing on with the kids, and what are some of the things that that are most important to you?
So during the school year, kids have so much structure because of school. They might also have a lot of structure because after school, they're going to soccer or they're going to tutoring. And at camp, we think it's so important for kids to have unscheduled free play. Part of that, what's included in that, so you have your group, and your group has a free block, and you have to decide what you're going to do for that hour. Now, sometimes we take a vote. And maybe it's, majority wins, where today we're going out to go fort finding, when some kids actually wanted to play Gaga. And so it's, being part of a group, we all learn so many skills about how do you handle it when you don't get your first choice? And if you are the one who's, really promoting, let's go fort finding, and how do you handle it when there's kids who are disappointed? So we really value the social development that goes along actually throughout the whole camp day, but really during that free play time. Kids get to learn and explore, handle frustrations, learn about patience, learn about taking turns. And we talk about this so much with our counselors that during a school year, teachers often have to really focus on teaching subjects to kids. And sometimes, not always, but social development gets pushed to the side because they really have the pressure of, I've got to teach multiplication tables. At camp, we're not teaching multiplication tables. We are teaching 100% social skills. We have some teachers on our staff who talk about they love summer camp because they really get to help kids handle frustrations, learn how to make friends. If a kid might be a little annoying and can't read social cues about why two girls in her group don't want to sit next to her, our counselors get to help that child figure out, what's going on? Why do you think they don't want to sit next to you? Also helping those two other girls, how can you tell Gracie in a nice way that you don't want to sit next to her? So really, we value so much that development. And in that free play comes so much imaginative play, creative time. I giggle about our forts. So we're in a watershed. There's trees, there's trails, there's a lot of bushes, there's poison oak. And we go out and build these forts. Now, sometimes I imagine, and I've heard from parents, they think it's like wood walls and ladders and hammers and nails. And really, we're in bushes. And kids use sticks to sweep dirt out of the way. And they use rocks to make trails going in. And they take some twine and they make a little secret wall. So if other groups are trying to look for them, they can't find them. So really, we have nothing in our forts, but so much with our imagination.
Yeah. You know, when you were talking, I was thinking about how a lot of adults fear that sort of like the conflicts that come up when kids are just left to their
Yeah,
own devices. But I
yeah,
love how you have embraced that and understand how important that is to kids' development and how awesome it is that kids get to have these experiences under the guidance of your counselors
yeah,
that I am certain when they go back to school, they are then better able to handle
yeah,
all the things that come up at recess and at
yeah.
school. And I also just really want to, I love what you said about how you get to focus 100% on the social skills, and that's your
Hmm.
focus of what
Hmm.
you're teaching. And I think that's an important thing for parents to understand, that at, you know, well-run camps with leaders like you who are very intentional about the outcomes that you're working on with your kids,
Hmm.
it is a lot of growth happens that can't happen in other settings where the adults there are focused on other things like a test score or a
Right,
sports
right,
outcome. When you are telling your counselors that their whole job is helping kids work through these, like
right.
learning
Issues.
how to, yeah, learning how to, when you don't get your way, how do you cope with those feelings,
Hmm.
and learning how to be patient with your friends. I mean, I love your and I mean, kids especially, but all the ages, because they all need it. But
Yeah.
think about the value of kids learning that, even some of them before they go to kindergarten. That's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And we also, as adults, sometimes want to resolve issues ourselves. Maybe we're in a
Mhm.
rush. Maybe we need to get somewhere. Maybe we have siblings in the backseat of our car fighting. And so we just want to resolve it. At camp, as adults, we kind of play dumb. Oh, I don't know why she doesn't want to sit next to you. What what do you think? Should we ask her? And so instead of trying to solve problems for kids ourselves, we let kids solve the problems. And this is a big focus on camp of them handling those challenges and us not resolving it for them. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that is so amazing. And I want you to repeat the words you use, because I think that would be helpful and informative for parents to use at home
Yeah,
too. Because
yeah,
I think that happens at home. It's so much easier because we're adults and we know what they should do to fix a situation. It's so easy to just be like, well, you should just do this or go do this, or I'll do this call. I'll make this call for you. So what are the words that you teach your counselors to say when a kid is having a problem of any
yeah.
kind?
Well, the number one thing is we ask questions.
Mhm.
So why aren't you playing? Why did those girls not want to play with you? So we really ask a lot of questions. We kind of play dumb. We also let the kids do the talking. So often as
Mhm.
adults, when we're trying to solve problems or help them with difficult situations, we will do the talking. And just like you said, we'll say like, oh, why don't you handle it this way? Or I'll make the call for you because it's the easier way out. We're not really in a rush at camp. We have an hour to play, and there's been some conflict. Okay, let's figure this out. But we truly let campers handle the problems. As staff, we step back, we observe. If a camper is really having a hard time and needs a little help, we might give them some clues. We also want other kids to give that feedback, other kids to get involved, because it's an opportunity for them to also say, yeah, Audrey, I don't want to sit next to you when you're poking me. I asked you to stop and you didn't stop. How
Mhm.
come? And
Mhm.
as the counselor, we can say, oh, they asked you to stop and you didn't stop. So really
Mhm.
allowing kids to solve those issues themselves. We know, like you said, then returning to school. So when there's an issue on at recess on the field playing kickball, hopefully those skills are transferable. Not hopefully, we're sure they are to the
Yes.
school year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or to soccer or to
Yeah.
whatever.
And I think too, it's funny because I'm reading this book. It's an early release copy of this book that's coming out next week. It's so good. It's by Lisa D'Amour. She wrote Untangled, and it's about middle school girls. Well, her new book is called Under Pressure. And
Mm,
it's basically about kind of the epidemic of anxiety among, well, all kids, but
mm,
especially girls. And one of the things she keeps repeating, and you were just reminding me of exactly what she says, is as adults, it's important that we don't overreact to
yeah.
situations because
Yeah.
kids do look to us. And so when your counselors, when a kid comes and they're all upset about something, whatever it might be, when your counselor can remain calm and just ask the questions, that reassures the child that, oh, you mean, so like having this conflict or this person saying they don't want to sit with me is not the end of the world. It's a problem that I can solve. And
it's actually okay.
Yeah. Yes. That's so valuable to just be able to give kids that reassurance. And a lot of times they're not getting that otherwise, especially little ones, you know, because a lot of times parents don't realize what their kid could do and they don't let them have the opportunity. So I love hearing about that. Sarah, do you get I know you get feedback because you have many, many families who the kids grow up going to camp. They come back as counselors. Now they're parents and their kids come to camp. What is some of the feedback you've gotten? And do you have any like letters or testimonials that you want to share about just the impact of Tom Sawyer Camps on kids' development?
Well, we are so fortunate. We hear wonderful things from our parents. And one of them is the fact that kids got to take safe risks with caring adults. So, you know, a lot of parents don't really want to go horseback riding with their kids. I mean, it can be scary. And as adults, we're like, oh, that's a big horse. I could get hurt. But we have these kids who take these safe risks. We go at campers' paces, and they get on a horse and they go for a 20-minute ride. And maybe last time they came to horses, they just sat on the horse and pet on the horse, or pet the horse. And we make a lot of deals like, so next time we're going to take 10 steps. But we hear over and over again that campers built confidence because of the risks they took, whether it's swimming without mommy, because sometimes as parents, we might say, you can't go to the pool without me. You never go to the pool without me. You're only able to get in if I'm there. And then all of a sudden they're at camp and they're like, wait, mommy's not here. So really working through that with the camper, mommy wants you to swim, and helping them gain confidence that, oh, I can swim. My parents not here and I can swim. So we hear that kids learn confidence again and again. We also hear about friendship making. Our kids come from all over, and because we're a day camp, we have all types of schools, private schools, public schools, charter schools, kids who are homeschooled, and they come to camp. They get this fresh start because all of a sudden they're in a group of 13 girls. Maybe they know one from school, but they get a chance to do a redo or start over and make new friends again. I was a camper at Tom Sawyer Camps when I was little, and I am still in touch with friends of mine from when I was 10 years old. So it's such a wonderful, I tell parents over and over again that their world becomes bigger because you have friends that aren't just from school. And then you show up at soccer and you're like, oh, there's Christy. Christy was in my camp group. So it's such a great opportunity for kids to make new friends and sometimes get a reboot. I hear from, we had a longtime counselor who was here, and she said, camp saved my life. At school, I was teased. I was made fun of. I had buck teeth. I had knock-kneed. And I came to camp and my counselors liked me. So first off, our counselors like kids. And then the other campers see like, oh, there's something. This counselor likes that kid. They got to be a great kid. Our counselors like all of our campers. And so it's such a wonderful role modeling for the kids in the group to see like, oh, that's Susie. She's great. She's good at this. Our counselors also help facilitate connecting kids together. You like Legos? Audrey likes Legos. Let's talk Legos. It's sometimes as simple as that. But we hear over and over again from our parents about the friendship making, the safe risks, the confidence building. We do get a lot of testimonials. I have a really long one if you would like me to read it, Audrey.
I would love for you to read it. And then maybe if it's so long, maybe you can take a picture and we can put it in the comments too, so people can read it themselves if they'd like to.
Great. So this was from a mom last summer. I truly cannot express enough gratitude to the staff at Tom Sawyer Camps. My children have been attending TSC the last 5 years. We began coming to camp because of an essay one of my former 8th grade students wrote. The essay topic was to write about an event or person in their life that had changed them. My student, a girl, wrote about her experience growing up attending Tom Sawyer Camps in the summers. She wrote about making new friends, learning to challenge and believe in herself. She wrote that TSC was her safe place. It was so beautiful that I enrolled my daughters, then going into kindergarten and first grade that summer. My oldest daughter, Ava, entered Outpost this year. That's our middle school program. As a middle school teacher, I was very nervous and had a ton of questions. I was not sure if I would sign her up for Outpost, and then the director had a parent information night session that eased my mind. Her presentation helped me feel comfortable to sign Ava up for Outpost. Throughout the 3 weeks that Ava was in camp, I called the office more times than I would like to admit. Each time I called, Laura and the rest of the staff put my mind at ease that my daughter was safe and answered all of my silly questions, such as, how do I know where she is today? How will you keep her safe at the beach? I know middle school is tough on the kids, and I know that TSC's Outpost program is designed to give our middle school children confidence. What I didn't realize is how hard the middle school transition would be on me as the mom. And I thank Tom Sawyer Camps and the staff so much for taking such great care, not only of my children, but of myself as well.
Oh, that is beautiful. And I was thinking too, just as just being in middle school and just being unplugged and just going to the beach and being with friends, how valuable is that people are, that these kids are having just an outdoor friendship, out fun experience. It's so great.
Yeah.
Sarah, we need to kind of wrap this up, but I just want to say one thing that I always associate with Tom Sawyer Camps, and I love that I associate it with you, is mud and like dirty faces. Like, I know that's so funny. I feel like we're living in a time when people are all so, clean all the time.
Yeah.
And I love that. I've heard so many stories from you and from families I know whose kids have gone to Tom Sawyer about just their kids coming home and you have to like hose them off outside and like leave their clothes.
Right. Strip them down.
I love that about Tom Sawyer, that you're like an outdoorsy, just
100%. Yeah.
Get down and get dirty camp, and how great of an experience that is for kids. You are definitely like changing lives for the better there. And I just love that you are doing such great work. Where can parents find you? And if they are a brand new parent and have never done anything like this before, what can they do to just like, you mentioned an information night, where do people find you, and who can they call? And then we'll put links in here too. But what's the process for a new family?
Great. So a couple things. We have open houses now through the spring, and it's a great opportunity to come and physically see camp, meet some of our staff, get a tour, learn about horses, and really ask a lot of questions. And also hear other parents' questions, something you might not have thought of. Also, we want people to call us. We want people to pick up the phone. It's kind of the old-fashioned way, right? Instead of just sending an email, let's have a live conversation and ask us every question you have. Sometimes parents feel like they're asking too many questions. Never. We want to make sure that our program is right for you and that you feel comfortable signing up. We have a website, of course. It's www.tomsawyercamps.com. You can go on there and find a lot of information. We're also happy to meet any interested parents down at camp if they can't make one of our open houses. It's really important for us to talk face-to-face or even on a phone to answer parents' questions. And as you know, to make sure that it's a right fit for that parent and their child.
And I'm sure you love hearing about their goals for their child, like what their child might be nervous about and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put in the phone number right now. What's your phone number that people can call?
We actually do a chant. I won't. 626-794-1156. 1156.
Okay, I'm putting the number so that if people just feel like calling right now or whenever they're watching this, they will,
hey, you guys,
they
get
can
the
call
phone.
you. I hope it starts ringing.
It's so interesting because parents will call us and tell us about their kids. We also want to ask parents about themselves because often, like you said earlier, sometimes they're a little nervous to send off their 4-year-old to camp, to send off their 6-year-old to camp, to send off their 10-year-old to camp. So really answering any questions and concerns they may have as well is so important. We also want parents to come visit us during the summer. So often they talk to me, one of our other directors, and they never really meet the counselors. And so they're trusting me everything I'm saying is what my counselors will do. So we love it if parents want to come see their kid swim or see their kid horseback ride. You alluded it to a little earlier. Sometimes though, 6-year-old Johnny, who's been riding all summer, his parents there, and all of a sudden he's looking over his shoulder and he's nervous. So sometimes, it's a little bit difficult if parents come up and watch their kids directly, but we're able to work that out so they can see it and not interfere with the program.
Yeah, totally. Well, that is so great. How often do you do the open houses, just out of curiosity?
We have 3 during the spring.
Okay.
We also have open houses the day before camp starts. So campers will actually meet their specific counselor. They'll meet other kids who are in the group. They'll get to see the horses. So it's a good opportunity to meet everyone who's going to be at camp.
Okay, so last question. I know you guys, people enroll quite early. Do you still have some space for this summer?
Absolutely.
Okay, so because of so people can still be enrolling.
Right.
About what time in the spring does it start getting kind of crazy where people have trouble getting in? Do you recommend, when do most people enroll in day camp in your program?
For our camp, we would say enroll now. You have nothing to lose. Go ahead and enroll. If we don't have the spot you want, we really will offer you other spots. We can have waiting lists, but we recommend people to enroll now. Most parents who for the first time are looking into a camp are a little shocked, like, you want me to decide in January what I'm going to do over the summer? We joke, sign up for summer camp and then plan the rest of your summer. But we're really fortunate that we do fill pretty quickly, but we always are able to find spots for people if people's schedules are flexible. And then things change, May 1st, you might not have your first spot, your first choice, and then a couple weeks later it opens up and we move you into it. So we recommend people to enroll now.
Okay. Great. Terrific. Well, and whenever people are watching it, just for sure, check out the website if you're in the area. And this has been, oh my gosh, so much fun. I learned some new things, and I'm sure that parents watching, especially in the Pasadena, La Cañada, Altadena area, who are thinking about a program or what their kids are going to do this summer, I hope they're watching and seeing just how amazing you are. And of course, your whole staff that you train so well as too, but what a fun, life-changing program. So thank you so much for being on, Sarah. This has been really, really fun. I'm going to sign off and I'm going to put some links, and hopefully lots of people will be in touch with you about your great program.
Great. Thank you, Audrey. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for joining me for this Happy Campers interview bonus podcast episode. If you're interested in learning more about how you can bring home some of the magic of summer camp, I'd love for you to pick up a copy of my book, Happy Campers, 9 Summer Camp Secrets for Raising Kids Who Become Thriving Adults. It's available for pre-order now and comes out on May 7th. And you can find more information about it on my website by going to happycampersbook.com. To thank you for pre-ordering the book, I have a couple of fun freebies. The first of which is the first chapter, Camp Secret Number 1, Connection Comes First. I'll also send you an invitation to join my private Facebook group that's called the Happy Campers Book Club, where we'll be sharing resources, videos, and conversation about raising kids who become thriving adults. To access these freebies, simply pre-order your copy of the book and then fill out the form at happycampersbook.com. Together, we can spread the happiness of summer camp to the whole world.